How come he's in his PJs so early?
Now we're on live on YouTube too.
Oh,
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Gwen has the grandkids.
They are busy. 2 days a week are 4 kids.
Oh,
And he makes they're weird about
yeah.
doing a little bit of school. They're getting some life skills.
There you go.
And he's all stressed. Working with their daddy yesterday, or not yesterday, the other day, whatever you're doing, measuring something down the trench. So it was pretty real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
She was doing a good job.
That's how you remember those things. though. It really is. It really is.
Sorry, I missed all that when I was
No,
trying to
that's
get
okay.
functioning going.
Good job.
Have a little bit of IT issue.
Different things. You know, something that can stick in your head.
I remember when my dad taught my older brother not to touch the spark plug on the motor when it's going.
That was a good one.
That was a learning
I feel like
activity.
I'm echoing. Am I echoing? I feel like
Is your-
I'm
Oh, my-
because I'm not in Zoom.
No, I can't put it on either.
Ron, you Earl?
Early?
Good afternoon, all. Mayor, you're. Red light. Okay, very good. Thank you. Very good. Well, welcome everybody to this special meeting of the Indianola City Council, April 29th, 5:30 p.m., scattered to and fro across Warren County. If you would call this meeting to order, please rise with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Go ahead with roll call, please.
Councilmember Hewlin.
Here.
Parker,
Present?
Kling,
Here?
Schroeder,
Present.
Southall,
Here.
Marchant,
Present.
Mayor Shaw.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Jackie. Don't know if there's any public comment. Doesn't look like there is, but if there's any public comment, now would be the time to do so.
Mayor Shaw, I did not receive any.
Very good. Yep, thank you for that. At this time, we'll move right on to the resolution. The resolution authorizing participation in the Greater Des Moines Partnership Small Business Recovery Program. I believe you have the resolution in your packet.
I move to approve the participation in the Greater Des Moines Partnership Small Business Recovery Program.
Second.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Mr. Kling. Discussion.
I think we should have some discussion about all the information we've learned since yesterday, when this first came up. Are you gonna?
Yeah, happy to do that. Mayor, members of council, thanks for your availability tonight. As with everything going on with the COVID pandemic, things are very fluid and happening very quickly. On Monday, included in your packet is the email that I received along with other partners in Warren County about the Greater Des Moines Partnerships Program. After receiving that, had a conversation with Brenda Easter over at the Chamber, talked to Charlie DeSell, our Community Economic Development Director, talked to Andy Lynn, our Finance Director, and then given the tight time frame, we talked to members of the Administrative Policy Committee. And to gauge interest, if this is something we should explore, the recommendation from the Administrative Policy Committee was that this is something that is very important. You should consider it, and they recommended having a special meeting. So the Greater Des Moines Partnership is the genesis of this program from, according to the partnership, is that the programs that the state has issued to assist small businesses was very popular. There was not a lot of advance notice, so a lot of businesses had to quickly get their stuff together, apply, and those funds were quickly depleted. It was such a popular program that the word is that the state's going to be doing another round, and those that were already in the queue are already first in line. And so that second round of funding is already spoken for, is what we've been told. The partnership, Polk County started the project to address or create a program very similar to this, and in conversations with the partnership, identified the need, saying we still have small businesses that weren't able to get in a timely manner to access those funds. It's still something that's important. So the partnership and one of their missions is regional collaboration. Started with Polk County and then worked out to the participating or the member communities, member counties. So we're a member of the partnership at Warren County, that our chamber, we have the dual membership. So that's why they reached out to us, Norwalk, Warren County Economic Development as members. So the way the program is designed is that they're asking the community, member community, and that's what is before you tonight, is whether or not we want to participate. They need to know by May 1st. The reason for that is they intend to get the funding round, the application round open May 4th and leave it open for a couple weeks. The partnership is picking up the bill. It's $50,000 for a not-for-profit group that does grant reviews and grant allocations. It's a fairly common process when dealing with federal dollars or any sort of grant dollars coming in. These not-for-profit agencies will review, rank, and then provide a recommending a funding award to the governing body. So the Greater Des Moines Partnership is paying the $50,000 fee for that. And then any participating community is asked to, in order to participate, contribute $2.30 per capita. So $2.30 per person based on our 2010 census. So round numbers, and I'm sorry I didn't bring my calculator up here, but that's roughly between $31,000 or $33,000. As part of the program, they've asked for private investment of 50 cents per capita, so roughly $8,000, and then the partnership would match up to that same amount. So for a total of that's $3.30 per 14,782, which is our 2010 census. So the resolution that is before you would authorize the city to spend up to 41,000. I don't have the number in front of me.
389.60.
41,380.
389.60.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't bring my computer up here. That at the time we had to get the packet published, that included the city's portion of $2.30 and the private investment of 50 cents per capita for a total of $2.80. That was up to. The reason being is we had to quickly turn this around, quickly get a special meeting in order to quickly get a response back to the partnership by May 1st. Since that time, our partners at the Chamber and Warren County Economic Development have been working on getting commitments for that private investment. And so just moments ago, I got a follow-up email from Rachel at Warren County Economic Development. She's asked her executive board if they would be willing to contribute $5,000 towards that private investment. And Brenda Easter has talked to a number of businesses in town, and she believes she's got a commitment of the $3,000. So the funding authorization in the resolution is up to that. So city's portion and private investment. We obviously wouldn't spend that entire amount given that we have this commitment from the private sector to do that. That's important because the Greater Des Moines Partnership is going to match that private investment. So $16,000 would be coming in along with the city's investment of the $33,000. So that's how the program is funded. All the money that's going into this program stays in Indianola, and it's eligible for small businesses that are 0 to 30 employees that are physically located in Indianola. So it's got to be within the corporate limits of the city. This company and the partnership are working on putting together a grant application. They shared a draft earlier this afternoon with us, redlined and all. It's a couple-page document. As part of the application process, much like any sort of grant form or grant application, they have to provide various information, number of employees, revenue statements comparing last year to this year, how many full-time employees they had at a certain point, how many employees they have now, what are revenue projections, how many employees have been furloughed or laid off, and all that information then gets ranked and scored. Each category gets a certain number of points, and this company will go through and rank those applications and then provide that to the city council for final award. So it's a recommendation based on certain criteria. In our initial draft, we were told from the partnership that businesses that received funding through one of the stimulus pack programs, the PPP or the IEDA small business grants, would not be eligible. The Greater Des Moines Partnership cleared that up, clarified that today, that they are eligible. Businesses that received funding will be eligible regardless of if they received an award. However, that does become a criteria that does get scored. So if a business qualified or applied, received funding, that would be ranked and compared against businesses that applied and didn't receive awards or wasn't able to apply in a time. So they are allowed to apply. It's not closed to any particular business, but they have to fall in the 0 to 30 employee range. It's open up to all small businesses that have that employee population base. It's not limited. There was some chatter on social media. It's not limited to just chamber members. It's limited to all it's open to all small businesses within the corporate limits of the city of Indianola with the employee population of 0 to 30. Anything that's unused would be returned back to the community. The wards, the total funding for the city, that is the money that would be going towards Indianola businesses if the council chooses to authorize participation in this. So the money going in would not go to a Norwalk business or a business in Polk County. Everything would stay locally within our corporate limits. That's a very quick high-level summary. I'm happy to answer specific questions if there are any.
Go ahead.
Okay, with the providing grants between 1,000 to 5,000, what do you foresee, or how many do you foresee us being able to provide in Indianola?
Incorporating the match from the partnership, you're talking about $49,000 of available funds. it just depends on this not-for-profit that would administer the grant program and review the applications as they would score it. And then based on a lot of the financial data that these businesses are providing, would make that recommendation based off of that data of what the recommended award should be. So they'll look at the data, $1,000 for one business would go a lot further than for another, or go up that. So they'll make a recommendation on what that funding award would be. So if there was a high level of business participation and they ranked it and recommended $1,000 for everybody, 49 businesses, but the varying levels of awards is going to be difficult to predict.
And I think my question is not really a question, more of a comment. We visited about this earlier, and I'd like everybody listening to know that it's not really intended to be a Band-Aid fix of, somebody that's near the end of possibilities. It's more to mitigate loss and help with maybe we would say future needs.
Yeah, so what the partnership had talked about in respect to that topic is, as with any economic development grant program, that's why they're asking for the financials and to understand the operating of the business, and that there is going to be, want to make sure that the money is going to provide the best impact to the businesses in order to ensure that they can weather the storm. And it's based on the books, based on the sales. Is it a profitable business? And there's all sorts of factors that go into it. So, it's a tough analysis to do. Obviously, everybody's business, especially for small businesses, they put their heart and soul into it. But it is according to the Greater Des Moines Partnership, when they're going to evaluate it, much like other grant programs, they're going to look at it to make sure that this money is going to be going to ensure the longevity of the business, and not just to postpone the inevitable, right? And I recognize that this pandemic there's a lot of fear and unknown, and I don't want to come across and this was a conversation we had with the partnership earlier today. Is the intention is not to sound insensitive or to be critical or to pick winners or losers. It's made to ensure that the businesses have access to some grants to ensure that they can continue through the pandemic.
I was just going to comment that I like the idea that it's an outside firm that's scoring this. And I love the idea that the scoring is based on the facts they are given, because during this time period, we could use a lot more facts. And I just think that's important the way that it's going to work.
Are home-based businesses eligible too?
I would imagine so. They do have to, as long as they have 0 to 30 employees and they have the required establishments of sole proprietorship or corporations, or how that those different filings they would have to provide that. And I would say that home businesses that may not, if they meet the 0 to 30 apply, that would be vetted as part of the application process.
And there's no stipulation on how the money is used by the business?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Is the application shared with the applicant, or is the application metrics, the scoring metrics, been shared with the applicants, or have you seen it, or?
I've seen the red line version of the application itself. I don't know if they would share that. I would imagine that they would provide.
I would think so, just to understand what you're up against, or from a scoring standpoint, where you would align.
Yeah.
How long is that application, Ryan? Do you have a ballpark?
It's about 3 pages.
Okay.
There's several check boxes and simple stuff: name, address, what type of business are you filed as? Are you a woman? Is it a majority woman-owned business or not? Location, number of employees, So there's a lot of very quick, easy questions to dispense of. And then they do have to provide some financial stuff, books, receipts, things like that. So.
Okay. So do they provide to you the scoring criteria, Ryan? Or I mean, are different things weighted? Your mention of gender kind of surprises me, but are there, I mean, can you tell how they weigh different criteria?
I don't have that yet. The conversation with the partnership had indicated as we were seeking clarification on if businesses that receive the PPP or IEDA grants, as an example, if a business applied and received it, they might receive a 1 instead of a 3 for a business that didn't. So I don't have that scoring criteria just yet. The partnership started working on this about a week ago, and to really get it up and running. That's why they're working with this not-for-profit to administer the program that's got experience in it to quickly get it up and running so it is turnkey.
Well, when this came to the admin policy committee, we felt like this was something that gave us an opportunity to help the local businesses. It's a decent investment from us, but that really multiplies when you get the private money and the partnership money in. Having the independent firm score it, I'm not as concerned about seeing the scores as you know, or how they score it is what they come back with. I think the part of the scenario that's the most important here is that independent group is going to do the work and take that out of our hands. I don't think we should have any part of scoring it. And I think everybody needs to answer the questions that's on the application, and then that will go into the scoring. I don't think there's a real need to say, you know, you've got to do this to get a 5. I think that's immaterial. I think what we're trying to do from the admin policy group was bring it to the council, and hopefully the council would support the resolution. And then the mechanics of it looks like it's going to go well, but nothing actually goes beyond anyone getting money, I think, until it comes back to council. Is that correct, Brian?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The final decision on the dollars going out to the businesses will be made by council.
Correct.
So we'll all have an opportunity to view what potentially the end result is. If there's an opportunity to tweak, or we think there's a need to tweak, I don't know what we would base that on, but it will come to us for discussion. So that's the, you know, our real premise here is let's see if we can't do something to help the businesses, especially the ones that didn't get anything.
Well, I was going to say that I trust the partnership has hired, the Iowa Center for Economic Success. They obviously know how to do this. The partnership also trusts that they know how to do this. We have employees here that do a job. We trust that they know how to do. We don't tell them what kind of mop oil to use or anything else. We trust them to do the job, and they're supervised. I trust the partnership, and they've hired a company. I'm not about to tell them, you know, exactly how it's going to be scored. They've done this before. They know what to do. So leave it to the professionals.
And I will, I mean, the conversation we've had, and I mean, certainly you all know, as we've been navigating the pandemic with, like, when are we going to be able to open the brush facility? Well, we're happy we know now, and we've got a plan in place. But a lot of this has caused a lot of fluidity. And like I said, the partnership's been working with Polk County on this for the last week and trying to get it up and running. And there's a lot of questions and you know, commentary on this stuff. So the participation does not necessarily mean that you have to, if there's a point in the process where there's concern on the part of the council, you have the final say in if that award gets made. The application, which this is a red line version, most of it's just business information, contact, where you're at, ownership information, percentage. Mayor, the question about the sex, is it a minority owned business? Yes or no? Is it a business owned? Is the business woman owned? Yes or no?
those are states.
Right,
Those are
right, yeah,
standard
I mean, it's, so
standards,
it's modeled after some of the other grants that are out there.
Right.
Impact of disaster, so employment on March 1st, full-time, current numbers of full-time employees, number of employees working remotely as a result of the disaster, number of employees furloughed or laid off as a result of the disaster. What is monthly rent payment? What is estimated loss of revenue from March 1st to April 30th? What is projected loss of revenue from May 1st to July 30th, 2020? Describe how the funds, should they be awarded, would be utilized to maintain business operations during or after the disaster. Then there's a box where please indicate other business assistance programs for which have been applied in your application status. So small business grant through IEDA, targeted small business through IEDA, paycheck protection program, that's the PPP through US Small Business Association, economic injury disaster loan or other, and it's got columns that shows applied and approved, the amount, or applied and denied, applied and status unknown, did not apply. So provide that. 4-month income and expense statements, January to April. Income and expense statement, January to April 2019, sort of evaluate the before and after. 3-month projected income, May 1, July 30th, balance sheet as of April 30th. Amount of payroll prior to March 15th, 2020, and then just verifications. Are there any judgments or liens? Typical legal stuff. So that's the current draft of the application. There's still red lines in it. We got to let the partnership know by May 1st, and then we would be provided the final versions of everything.
And then tell me again, what's the timeline where that money would be available to businesses?
So the timeline that the partnership has established is roughly May 4th. The first 2 weeks of May would be the application would be, the timeframe would be open. And then the following 2 weeks, this grant administrator would review and provide the rankings. And then the goal would be to provide some sort of notification towards the end of May, early part of June. So that timeline would be subject to change, obviously. Want to make sure that giving everybody an opportunity to get in. So
I just have another question.
Mhm.
Who, or maybe all entities, are responsible for marketing this? Is this Greater Des Moines Partnership and the Chamber, if Economic Development has a piece in
yeah,
it?
this would be a partnership. I mean,
Everybody.
yeah, I mean, the city would market it. Certainly the city's on the city's website, the advertisement of this. We talked
I
to
assume, but I wanted to
we
make sure.
we
Yeah.
talked to as part of our normal COVID briefings. We shared this with the local media, KNIA, the Independent Advocate. So we'll share that with them. Brenda and Rachel at the partnership and at the Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber would assist in advertising. And obviously, one of the things that we have a benefit for our community is word of mouth, and just get that word out there.
Other discussion. I've got a few questions, but I'll hold them until the end. Anybody else questions? Very good. Can we drill down just a little bit on what both Mr. Marchant and Mr. Kling said in terms of the scoring criteria? I started out fully agreeing with Mr. Marchant, which I know some of you will find surprising, but then by the time Mr. Kling came around, I found myself agreeing with him as well. So I was curious what the rest of the council feels is the best protocol in terms of analyzing the graded scores that we get back from the partnership's contract. In other words, the persons who are looking through the applications. I guess I'm of the mind, as Bob said, that since they're the professionals looking at that process, that there's probably less politics, quote unquote, to be involved if the council were to consider that. And so I'm curious what the other members of the council think. It concerns me just a little bit, and Greg mentioned tweaks a little bit. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it was also mentioned in Amy Duncan's story last night in terms of some of the final tweaks. And so certainly it's council's prerogative to do that, but I'm curious what other people think. Should should that list be accepted from the review committee kind of as is, or if there's going to be tweaks, then is that something the entire council does, or is that something that the policy committee does? I'll just throw that out there.
No, I would be, I mean, that'd have to be approved by the council.
Yeah.
But would those, John, in your estimation, I mean, since you serve on that committee, would those tweaks be done by the subcommittee, or would they be done by the entire council?
Oh, that would be I mean, that would have to be council.
Yeah.
I don't think the committee, I wouldn't think would have the, I mean, the committee could make recommendations if it chose to, which I don't know why it would, but it could choose to, but the council has to have final say in that. That can't be done at the committee level.
In fact, the committee, all they can do is make recommendations.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't. And I would assume that what we see from the coming back to us as raw scores, I guess my assumption, you know, as I'm sitting right here, I would see that would probably be the case. You know, I can't speak to that totally, but I don't know why it would be any different.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, I don't have.
Greta Southall.
Oh, excuse me, go ahead, Greta.
I guess without knowing what this process looks like, having not done it before, I don't imagine needing to make any tweaks, but rather approving what they send to us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be what I would envision would happen. After all, they're professional grant scorers, if that's a thing. So I would assume that we would probably just get the rubber stamp of approval on their recommendations. That's kind of how I envision it.
And I would go into it with the same mindset to trust the professionals unless something really glaringly strange came back from their results. I can't imagine a reason to change what they had recommended.
Just speaking from prior organizations where we've dealt with federal dollars and had departments that had to administer that, working with groups like this where they go through, they evaluate, they always present it to the governing board to make that final determination, authorize the expenditure of funds. With any political body, they have the ability to make recommended tweaks as they see fit. And you know, that's in my experience, it's very rarely done when you're working off of a set criteria and have the assistance of an outside group such as the one that the partnerships have acquired.
I appreciate that discussion. That was, I mean, we've talked as a council a number of times about transparency, certainly in the last several years, and also in terms of level playing fields and neutral brokers and stuff. Those are the terms I like to kick around as well. So it sounds like we're all on the same page in terms of what you just mentioned as the best practice, Ryan, and your experience, and then from what the others have said as well. Couple other questions then. Thanks for the financials, Ryan, that you laid out early on. In the resolution, sorry about that. In the resolution, it says the amount is the $41,389.60 there towards the bottom. That amount is both per capita of $230 plus the 50 cents. Is that right? Both the public and private, is that $41,389?
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have the authority to spend the private money raised? Would that belong in the resolution or no? The
reason for including the private investment was, as I mentioned earlier, Brenda was working so we have 24 hours, the minimum, to get an agenda published. And when we got this, it was very quick. We got the notification from the partnership, pretty much dropped everything, focused in on this, talked to our partners at the chamber to gauge the interest, understand if there was the need here, talk to the administrative policy committee to kind of gauge that interest. And then the recommendation was have the special meeting. So we had to quickly prepare the packet, thanks to Jackie, getting that together. So the reason for the inclusion of the 41,000 and change is to have the authorization up to the city's requirement and that private investment. The reason for that is to ensure that we could get the match from the partnership. the partnership did confirm that the city could take on that private investment if we couldn't raise it. And as I mentioned just a little bit ago, we did get confirmation from Warren County Economic Development that they are likely in for 5,000 of that. And Brenda at the Chambers has indicated that she's likely received commitment of $3,000 to fulfill that private sector match. So $8,000 would come off of that 41,000. So we're just talking, we just needed to have the spending authority if we couldn't come up with it, and if it was important for the council to receive that full match from the partnership to maximize the dollars coming into the community.
So just logistically, it's appropriate to list the 41.3 there.
Correct. We were realizing that we wouldn't spend all of it because we've now received the commitments from the tentative commitments from Rachel and Brenda. I know she was working on shoring up her executive board and receiving authorization for that. So,
okay, thank you. What fund does this come from, Ryan, or at?
I think we talked about
Andy,
fund 160.
Either 160 or 161. It can come from the general admin, but we were talking about 160 or 161.
Yeah, those
sorry,
are
I can't hear him.
the 160 or 161. Those are the economic development, like business funds that we have for the city.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to just make one more comment. I'd like to think that, I think it's really awesome, and I appreciate the work that Brenda and Rachel have done and the generosity of those private sector donors that have stepped up, because that really, I mean, with a match, that makes a really nice impact.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's $16,000.
kudos to them,
Yeah.
and much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, we called them and they got going on it right away.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
a good,
in a short time frame too.
yeah, really good tag team effort. So I appreciate their partnership.
Any further discussion or questions? No. Yeah, I would echo what Heather just said. Thanks, Ryan, for seizing this and for moving staff in the right direction on this. It's an opportunity to help out local businesses, which of course we're all about in that regard. If there's no more discussion, I would entertain a vote on this motion. We do have a first and second. Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Very good. Anything else good for the order on other business tonight, council?
Sorry, Mayor, if I can, just really one quick thing that came up today as we were dealing with this and a series of other operational items at the city. Rick Graves is experiencing some difficulty with our sludge hauler to make sure that we have appropriate space in our containers over at the wastewater treatment plant. So what we're likely going to be bringing to you on May 4th is an emergency resolution to bring in a different hauler. So we effectively terminate this current hauler. Rick's done a great job in notifying the DNR. It would have an impact on our ammonium levels. And so just, this is more of a heads up, let you know that we're going to be working through the notice and cure period and then having that on there. So.
And we had an issue last year. Is this the same company?
No, different company. And you know, the new wastewater treatment plant can't get built fast enough because as you recall, as part of the design, we've got the umbilical cord system, so we won't have to deal with this type of setup in the future. So
Hopefully there's enough vendors out there.
yeah, he was able to get a quote from a vendor in Des Moines, and they've got good recommendations, but the problem is these haulers are working. And this one that we have currently is out of Marshalltown, and they've kind of fit us in their schedule as they're going through hitting up all the other communities around the state. So it's difficult. So
As other duties as assigned, John.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Good. Thanks, Ryan. Anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Very good. Discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Very good. Thanks all. Have a good night.
Thank you.